The first generation Mercedes-Benz CLA first came to America back in late 2013, and when it made its debut, it was the first ever front-wheel drive Mercedes-Benz here in America. Now, it did outrage a lot of purists out here. However, it did pretty well in terms of sales, which is why I'm out here at the 2019 Consumer Electronics Show, where Mercedes has just shown off the all-new second generation model. Let's take a first look. So when the CLA first came out in 2013, it was designed to just be a smaller version of the CLS. If you remember, the CLS was the first vehicle to kind of introduce the sweepy curves on sedan to make these things look a little bit more interesting. For the second generation version, you can see Mercedes kept the design very familiar, but they kind of smoothed out a lot of the droopy finishes. The old one to me kind of looked like it was melting from certain angles. I really like the design of this new one. Now remember, this car is based off of the A-Class, which we didn't have in America before. However, it was introduced at the CES Auto Show last year. So Mercedes is basically applying that to the CLA, where you can see here you have these LED headlights which mimic the front end of a lot of the other newer Mercedes products. It actually reminds me a lot of the AMG GT, which is definitely one of their best looking design cars. I think that the design works fairly well. I also like the latest Mercedes grille with these diamonds that are kind of in the actual grille inserts to kind of give it a little bit of a sportier look. Mercedes didn't have too much in terms of features. I imagine that these LED headlights are optional like it was on the previous generation, but we'll have to wait and see for this car to actually come out to clarify that. Now from the side profile, you can see it looks very similar to the previous generation, but these 19-inch wheels kind of look like the last generation one. These are my guess to be an optional wheel. The car has like 235 tires all around now. As I mentioned before, it literally looks like the previous generation in terms of the silhouette. Mercedes didn't really change that. What they did do is they increased the wheelbase by about 1 inch, and the overall length is about 2 inches longer to make this thing look a little bit more substantial. I actually think it looks a lot better than the previous generation, and it looks a lot better than the A-Class sedan, which is this is based. It kind of again takes from that swoopy coupe profile that we've seen on the previous generation CLA and CLS. I also think this car looks better than the new CLS. Now, if you want to follow me over to the rear of the vehicle here, you can see the design takes, again, that new design language that we've seen on the CLS. Although I will say it does look better here. I do think the car is a little bit naked. It needs kind of like a rear spoiler here to make it look nice. It also has these nicely finished or integrated dual exhausts with the kind of rear diffuser, showing that this one may be the sport-oriented model. And in terms of the trunk capacity, this is a regular conventional sedan, even though it kind of looks like a coupe hatchback. Mercedes says you're looking at around 16.2 cubic feet of space, which is actually a tad less than what you got on the previous generation. So under the hood of the all-new CLA, you're actually going to find just one engine at launch. This is the company's 2-liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder, which is very familiar to last year's 2-liter, which now makes 13 more horsepower, around 221 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. Now it all goes out through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. Mercedes says they do offer a manual transmission in other markets, but they haven't actually confirmed whether it's coming to America. The AMG model will be launched at a later date. Fuel economy, of course, hasn't been announced. The CLA is still front-wheel drive only, with 4MATIC all-wheel drive being an option.
So yeah, pretty much the new CLA has MBUX, which was introduced last year at CES, and now is available in the A-Class, B-Class, GLE, and also the CLA now. If you're not used to MBUX, it's pretty much our new infotainment system. It has touch display. You can also control it from the touchpad and also from the steering wheel. We kind of took a holistic approach at it, and it has a really nice 10-inch displays in this car, which kind of give you this impression that they float in front of you. This car also comes with a heads-up display, which, because probably it's not turned on right now.
It's on. Is that new for this generation, the head-up display?
Yeah, with MBUX, yeah, they come with a heads-up display.
These screens, they look beautiful, first of all. They remind me a lot of what's on the S-Class and E-Class because of the two screens. Now, they look a little smaller. What's the size of these screens?
They're 10-inch display.
10-inch display, okay. But I'm assuming these are optional, the 10-inch screens, or are these standard?
Depending on the car model, some are standard, but all cars come with MBUX. Yeah.
Okay, and this has gesture control. If I heard,
Exactly.
Oh wow. Okay.
So as a favorite.
Oh, and it even recognizes driver and passenger hands. Okay. Sorry, I didn't do that again. Oh, I see.
Right,
and then.
If I do it.
Oh, it actually recognizes it. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Mercedes.
How can I help you?
Can you search for Italian restaurants with 4 stars on Yelp and a patio?
Please select an entry.
So pretty much this will kind of search for Italian restaurants that have 4 stars on Yelp and have a patio.
Now on the inside of the all-new 2020 CLA, you can see, even though it is the least expensive Mercedes in the lineup, it really doesn't look like that anymore. Mercedes has totally upgraded the interior, which again is taking a lot of design cues from larger Mercedes products, even the new A-Class sedan, which is supposedly supposed to be below this car in kind of the hierarchy. The materials in here will really impress a lot of you. For a car that's supposed to start in the mid $30,000 range, this is really impressive. As you can see, it's got the latest version of the MBUX. This is their all-new infotainment system that's kind of replacing the old command system. It's got new features like gesture control. It's got the voice recognition where it can give you a lot of where you can tell the system a lot of complex questions that'll literally rival your iPhone or your smartphone. And honestly, I find the interior to be a huge step up over the previous generation. The old one kind of reminded you at times that it was a less expensive model. This one definitely doesn't feel that way anymore. And with the all-new infotainment system, you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Mercedes says a lot of the driver assistance text features that you expect are also standard equipment, where you can kind of option in a driver assistance package that gives you the higher up systems. And overall, the seats feel very comfortable. You have very good amounts of space in here, and the visibility also is not too bad. I noticed that Mercedes has made the pillars a little bit smaller here. They've also made the roof a little bit higher, so I find myself a little bit more spacious. Now, this all-new 2020 CLA will go on sale later this year. Mercedes didn't have the exact timing, with pricing to be announced at a later date. For Redline Reviews at the 2019 Consumer Electronics Show, I'm Sofyan Bey.